Hey guys, Augie Sanj here, coming at you with another Outriders build guide. And in today's build guide, I'm going to be helping all the new players that are on the Pyros, all the up and coming Pyro players that have just joined us now in the New Horizon patch on Outriders to actually start getting gearing towards my complete phaser beam build that just deletes CT15. So if you're a new player and you just got in Outriders and you're looking for a build to like get you through the CTs and the expeditions all the way up to help you climb, this is going to help you tremendously. It's pretty much the same build, just using tier 1 and tier 2 mods that make it, and it's still OP. I've cleared a CT14 Stargrave on this in 8 minutes. It's not the fastest, but I mean I cleared it with no problems of dying. It's super tanky, does enough damage, has a good amount of sustain, and it's just super easy to build as well. All you need really is some purple gear with some anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and status power is the best thing you can get. See over there I have close range damage and skill life leech. It doesn't matter. I just took a bunch of little purple stuff that I could get and full purples tier 1 and 2 mods. But enough talk, let's get straight into the build, shall we? So the weapon we're using is a light machine gun, and death chains is the only mod that really matters on here. At a tier 2 mod it does just a crazy amount of damage. If you're just spraying this all over at every enemy in 2 seconds, every 2 seconds is going to proc death chains on them, and that's 193 damage over 3 seconds. It's free damage, set and forget. You shoot them once, the death chain is on them, and that's it, they'll start. It's like a burn pretty much. So it's just the pyro gun. And then the other mod, whatever you get, the only thing that does matter on your weapon that helps you boost your phaser beam damage is the status power. So if you do get a weapon, try and get something with status power on it. That's the most important thing. But yeah, for your weapon, that's it. And then straight into the armor, we are using size matters phaser beam, increases your radius of the beam by 100%. That is probably second most important mod for this, just for the phaser beam size. Like, it really makes a big difference. If you don't have that, it's really small, the beam, and you can't hit much AoE. So yeah, that's why you want to go there. And untamed power is just what I got on this piece. It's pretty good. It just does a little blast of anomaly power around you every time you use a skill, and your melee does count as a skill. So what you'll see me doing quite often in the gameplay video, I'll chuck up a fire wave and then I'll melee, and then a fire wave and a melee and a fire wave, and all of that is just free damage every time, untamed power proccing. And yeah, it's giving you life leech and everything, and it stacks with your anomaly power, up to 30% of your anomaly power, the explosion around you. So that's very good. And the rolls you want to be getting on your purple armor would be anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and status power. That will be ideal. But honestly, if you have cooldown reduction on there and anomaly power, the other one doesn't really matter. Status power is flat damage, but cooldown reduction I would say is the most important while you're trying to like start out, just to keep all your skills on a really short cooldown. 5.8 seconds, 5.5 seconds, 10 seconds. So you're just throwing out everything all the time, and you pretty much can't die because you're always healing from everything that you've got burning. But yeah, let's get to the next piece. So for the chest piece, we've got anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skills life leech. Skills life leech is another good one. You can't go wrong there. But yeah, just whatever you can get. And then tidal wave for 1 extra cooldown on your heat wave, and ride the wave exactly the same. I got really lucky on that chest with the tidal wave, and I just chucked ride the wave on it. Now these two, you kind of want to have the 3 heat waves. If you can't get another heat wave, it doesn't really matter. You have 2 heat waves, it's fine. Not the end of the world. This is while you're gearing up, but ideally you want 3 heat waves. And then moving on, we've got burnt out. Now this is a huge one. This I would say is the must have mod in this little setup that we got here, is burnt out, because it increases the damages that enemies take by 25% for 8 seconds, and that stacks. So if you have 3 heat waves, you hit the same enemy 3 times, that's 75% increased damage. And yeah, so if you don't have Captain Hunter or whatever that elite mod is called, the tier 3 mod where you do 25% damage against elites, because this is a new player build, then that is honestly, burnout is better than that when you're starting out, because you're always fighting. Like this applies to all enemies, not just elites. So it works exactly the same on elites. You chuck it up 3 times, the elite takes 75% increased damage. So GG on that. And again, anomaly power, skill life leech, and cooldown reduction. So it could change it into status power for even more damage. And then I just chucked damage absorber on there because this is a budget build. You should have damage absorber. You can put whatever else you want in there. That doesn't really matter. It's optional, up to you. Whatever you've got. Like bullet kindling, increase fire damage, or ashen champion, increase damage against ash targets. Because you'll be fire and ash at the same time with this build. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. So these gloves over here, normally cooldown status. Now those are perfect, what you would want for secondary stats, even for the in-game build. And frequent phaser is also very important for this. This is one of the mandatory phaser beam builds, phaser beam mods. So you need this one, frequent phaser beam, and then you need the one that increases the radius. That's the two most important phaser beam mods. And yeah, bullet killing on there just for increased 20% damage against enemies afflicted by burn, which is pretty much all the time. So free damage. And on our boots, we have volcanic armor. This reduces incoming anomaly damage and weapon damage by 65% while the skill is active. So when you hit phaser beam, when you're standing there doing nothing and people are hitting you and stuff, you're like super tanky. You just won't die when you're standing in phaser beam. So it's really good to get you started and get you used to the build, especially for new players coming in trying to get used to phaser beam and that kind of stuff. And twice as hot, another very important damage mod of here. So if I had to choose two mods that I would say are necessary for this build, it would be twice as hot and then burnt out. Those two is your main damage, and the rest is just all to help those. It's to like make them better. And yeah, twice as hot. Whenever a skill is used, inflicts extra 39,000 damage to all enemies afflicted with burn, and that's pretty much everything. So you throw up a heat wave and then they're on fire, and the next time you throw up a heat wave, they're gonna burn automatically with the heat wave's damage and twice as hot. And that goes for every other skill you use, including your melee as well. So make sure to melee a lot, guys. It gives you health and it just does a lot of free damage. So chuck in as many melees as you can. And yeah, that's pretty much the mods. That's literally just tier 1 and tier 2 mods. And if you were lucky enough to get a tier 3 mod while leveling, the best tier 3 mod I could suggest is Ashen Champion. That actually comes from the Lava Lich helmet. Over there, inflicts ash on enemies instead of burn, and each enemy hit boosts your anomaly power by 20% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So that's a 100% increase in anomaly power for each enemy hit. And yeah, that just boosts your damage. It's pretty much free Akari set. So if you did get any tier 3 mods and you did by some lucky chance get Ashen Champion, chuck that on your gear. That's the only really good tier 3 mod for now until you get into my later endgame build with the anomaly set. And I have that up on my channel, so go check it out. I'll put it at the end of this video. You guys can click it there and go check it out. So for skills, Heat Wave, bread and butter, increases your damage or increases the enemy damage taken and just does damage, gives you life leech. That's great. Puts them on fire and then they turn into ash afterwards because of your skill tree. So spam Heat Wave as much as you can and then feed the flames to get your buff, and then phase beam just to delete everything. And this is how our class tree is set up, very similar to my other build. It's pretty much exact copy. This is just for really tanky with all the max health nodes, and as well you get anomaly power for each of those as well. And then we've got fire up damage and anomaly damage. We've got cooldown, 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 a lot of cooldown. And then this as well for the resistance piercing and armor piercing. Doesn't really matter too much, but it does help. And that as well, skill life leech, and you've got a little bit of life leech over there. And then that is your hot situation working with your feed the flames to give you the 45% anomaly power buff for 10 seconds, and the cooldown is 10.3 seconds, and that's without upgrading any of these gear pieces. I haven't raised the attributes on any of them, so you could raise the attributes and you'll have these cooldowns at like less than 5 seconds on phaser beam and heat wave, and feed the flames will be 9 seconds or something like that. Really quick cooldowns and you just can't die. But yeah, trying to hit a K subs, guys, by the end of the year, and we're doing really good. We're halfway there, just about. We're a few subs short. Really appreciate all the support you guys are giving my Outriders videos, and I plan to continue with a lot of them. I'm going to bring out a budget trickster build and a budget techno build for all the new players coming in. So smash that subscribe button and like it if you do. Really appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I'm going to leave you guys with some gameplay of this build, and I'll catch you in the next one. Augie saying out.
Looks like the Pharaohs built a camp in the impact crater. passage leading below the meteorite. Yep. Freaks and monsters. Beasts found themselves a pod. I'm gonna ask if they're willing to give it back. I found a pod down here, guarded by monsters.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying out its prayer. Why are we so ashamed to be alive?